Good morning and welcome to Paul T's World. And the reason I'm laughing is I've just done half of this video and I hadn't switched the camera on. I had the audio on with my little mic here and I've got it all recorded but no video, so I'm gonna have to do it all again. It's a pleasure to speak to you. So I'm going to start again with good morning and welcome to Paul T's World. And in this video, we're going to talk about the tropical plants that I have bought in the last couple of weeks. As I mentioned in another video, I'm starting a tropical border round the pond. And in this video, I'm going to show you the plants that I've bought in the last couple of weeks, why I bought them, where I bought them from, and if I can remember, how much I paid. I think it's just worth noting that I'm in zone 9A, which means that on average, or the average over the last 10 or 20 years, my lowest temperature has been 20 to 25 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's 6.7 to 3.7 centigrade. That's the average lowest temperature. It's worth noting with the zones that I'm zone 9A, the same as Houston, Texas, the same as many places in Florida. Does this mean that I've got lovely, gorgeous, hot summers? Absolutely not. And the reason we're in the same zone is because this zone system does not take into account at all any other factor but the average lowest temperature. It doesn't even take into account how often you have those lowest temperatures. So you might only have 2 frosts in a year, and that will give you your zone. Somewhere else might be in the same zone and have 20 or 30 frosts in the year at the same level, and you'll be in the same zone. So it does not take into account summer temperatures, humidity, altitude, microclimate, rainfall, soil type. So it is a very rough and ready indication as to whether you can overwinter any plants. It doesn't tell you at all whether those plants are suitable for your summer, only whether they can possibly survive your winter. So in this video, I'm going to show you the plants that I've bought in this last few weeks to put in this tropical border, why I chose these plants, and where I got them from. Oh, and I forgot to say about the first and last frost dates. That's quite important, and it's useful for you to know what in general you get as a first and last frost date. And here on the west coast of Britain, where I am in zone 9A, the last frosts are generally between the 11th and the 20th of April. The first frosts in the autumn are generally between the 11th and the 20th of December. Of course, that can change. I remember 2 years ago, the first frost was on Christmas Day. Last year, which was very mild, in fact, the first frost was a little bit earlier. So it's fun to Google when your first and last frost date usually is. And I've just got my dahlias behind me here. They're growing really well. I don't lift the dahlias at all, except this year I lifted a few in April to split them. So let's have a look at these plants that I've got displayed on the table here. These are the plants that I have propagated, bought, swapped in the last few weeks. So at the back here we've got a Mazu Baju, the banana plant. Now, when we were children, we always talked about banana trees, but in fact, of course, they're not trees at all. They don't have a solid wooden stem. They're just the stems of the leaves. The reason why I chose the Mazu Baju as my banana plant is because it is hardy in my climate, and indeed most of Britain. So I say it's hardy in most of Britain. In actual fact, it's more root hardy. It could actually die back to the ground, but the roots are still alive. So many people in Britain will wrap these in fleece or straw to keep the height of them so they don't start from the ground each year. Because of course these can get to, what, 3 or 4 meters or so. The climate in Britain generally isn't hot enough for these to actually produce any bananas, or at least edible bananas, unfortunately. But I do have another banana here. And this is the Abyssinian red banana. I bought this dahlia, it's Bishop of Llandaff, for about £3.50 at a garden centre in the early spring. This is a canna. It's actually a Stuttgart. It hasn't started with its white areas of the leaves yet, so I'm quite excited to see how that performs with its white stripes on the leaves. Quite a big canna that, maybe 5 feet or so, maybe 6. Bought this at a local garden centre. This is the Kong series, the large Coleus. This is a Brugmansia that I grew from a cutting over winter. I've had a Brugmansia for a year now, and this is just a cutting from it. These Aeoniums I've had for many years, Schwarzkopf or Schwarzkopf. And in fact, what's quite interesting, in one of the videos, I actually cut off the top of this Aeonium, popped it in a pot, and it's now growing nicely. It's quite healthy. It's probably set up some roots now. And look at the stems that were left. Just look how they are growing. It's a great way of trying to get multi-stemmed Aeonium, is cut the heads off, and there we are. Best to do it not in high summer, because I believe they go dormant in high summer. Coleus. I'm starting to really like Coleus. Now, Coleus, I'm starting to really like. Coleus, I'm starting to really like Coleus. The vibrant colours you can get with Coleus. And this one is Stained Glassworks Royalty, if I can remember that. Absolutely gorgeous. And I also bought Chocolate Covered Cherry. And at the moment they're not looking too good, because I went away for a few days and had to leave them in the sun and the rain. And I left them in part sun, but I think there was too much sun for them. However, I'll show you what they looked like when they arrived in the post. I bought from a guy called Neil, who produces a lot of Coleus of all different types, and I ordered just those two because you might have noticed I've got a little bit of a theme for my tropical garden. I want to see if I can get as many flowers that are red and leaves in this tropical border. I ordered from Neil 6 of each of those. They came beautifully wrapped and I was very pleased with them. I asked Neil if he wouldn't mind a mention on my channel here, and he said he would be delighted. So I've put a link to Neil's Coleus eBay site down below in the description. Another place I used online where I got some of the plants I'm about to show you was from Grow Paradise, a guy called Craig down in the south of England. And again, the plants arrived beautifully packed. So let's see what I bought from Craig. I bought 3 Abyssinian bananas. Now, the thing about Abyssinian bananas, I said that I would tell you why I chose the plants that I've chosen, and generally speaking, it's because they're hardy in my climate. However, I have been tempted with these beautiful Abyssinian bananas. They aren't hardy in my climate. However, they're fairly cheap as plug plants. So if they don't survive, or I don't overwinter them, because I really haven't got anywhere to overwinter them, it's a good investment for 1 year. They're going to grow beautifully, and I think worthwhile basically as a bedding plant. So the other plant I bought from Craig is this Iracine. Bellissima. Again, I want as much red leaves as possible. I also bought this Salvia Amistad because I like them. This is going in another border actually. Now Craig has a shop where he sells online all his tropical plants. However, he also has a YouTube channel which I'll link down below, which is really useful for some of the hints and tips he gives about growing these tropical plants. Now let's see what else we've got. I was down in Norfolk for a few days last week and I found a guy selling pink china, Colocasia pink china. So I'm really pleased with that. That one will overwinter in my garden quite happily. I was tempted with this Colocasia escalente. I don't know the exact type, mainly because he told me it would grow quickly. Of course, they'll all grow quickly, these tropical plants, but this one in particular, it won't be hardy in my garden. But again, I was tempted. Some of these plants just cost £5, and so it's worth buying these, even if you can only enjoy them for the summer, and indeed you can probably overwinter some of them as well, maybe in the porch or a greenhouse if you've got one. 2 Persicaria I bought from him. This one is Purple Fantasy. It's not hardy in my climate, but again I was tempted for a few pounds. But this is Red Dragon, Persicaria Red Dragon, and this one indeed will overwinter in the garden. So this one is Pretoria, and I bought this at a garden centre. You do have to be a bit careful. In fact, you've got to be a lot careful with the cannaviruses. A lot of the plants that are sold do actually have the virus, so it's good to buy plants which are in full leaf if you can get them, and you can see whether they're virused or not. I'm no expert on cannavirus because I've read up on the virus quite a lot. I'm almost paranoid about the cannavirus. One of the problems is the young leaves, especially in the climate at the moment, because it's rather cool in Britain at the moment. It's hardly hit 20 degrees. I know down in London maybe they've had 20 degrees a couple of times, but generally we've had easterly winds coming off that cold North Sea, and so the cannas haven't got going yet, and therefore they haven't produced their really nice leaves, which will show whether you've got the virus or not. If you do feel you have the virus, check on one of the Facebook groups who will confirm it or not. Unfortunately, you have to get rid of any cannas that do have the virus, as it will spread. And I nearly forgot, the best till last. Is it the best? I don't know, but it could be the biggest, and let's see what it is. Here we are. I've actually got 3 Tetrapanax, and I swapped them. I swapped them for cannas and Brugmansias, and so I've got 3 Tetrapanax. So I'm very excited about those. Now, whether they're Tetrapanax Rex, I don't know. Do they have to be? No. As long as they grow healthily and big, I'm not bothered, but it would be nice to know what they are. So I'll wait until the leaves are larger. I've got 3 of these, and then I'll try and identify it or ask on the internet if anyone knows exactly what they are, because I do like to know what plants I've got. So here are all 3. I think it's too early to know what type of Tetrapanax they are, but if anyone is certain and knows these leaves, these young leaves, then please let me know. So thank you for joining me today on this view of my new tropical plants, and I'll see you next time in Paul T's World. Bye.